Morning, folks. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Good to see a few of you up early and at it already. Morning, James. Morning, Alison. Morning, Stu. Mate, haven't seen you for ages. We need to catch up, Stu. Give us a call. Alison, Chris, Danny. We've got a few. Oh, yes, good. It's on. It's on, Alison. Time to do the do. Exciting times, mate. That's great. Morning, Marcus. Good to see everyone here. Hey, welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Like I said just a moment ago, good to see you all here this morning. There's Chris as well. While things are, warming up, getting things going. As always, quick intros just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Jason Witten's my name. If you didn't already know, most of you do. This is something we do each weekday at about 10 past 8. We grab a little coffee, we catch up and talk about the world of investing, talk about the world of property investing mostly, but sometimes there's a bit of crossover. That, after 30 years coaching property investors, 25 years investing myself, with thousands and thousands of property deals done, might have a few insights that might be worth hearing or understanding. So every now and then, if you listen, you might pick up a nugget or two, a gold nugget, hopefully, not a chicken nugget. Anyway, there you go. That's the intros. If you're brand new or if you're hanging around, give us a shout out. Give us a shout out saying, hey, g'day, new on the scene here, where you might be dialing in from. Be great to hear from you. Look a bit disheveled this morning. I promise I've been up early. I've had a coffee. I've been, anyway, maybe I need to iron my shirt or something. Anyway, there you go. All right, let's talk about the idea or the world of supply. Has anyone seen these conversations of recent times? Well, it's an interesting thing when you have a look at data and information, but one little piece of the puzzle, and I'll chuck this up there now, that we had late last year, early 2021, mid 21 to sort of mid 22. Record level of approvals for detached houses. So record level of houses, folks, and then a record level of houses under construction. And I've had this question a few times, and I've asked it myself, hang on. Why do we have, if this is the case, why, if we've got a record level of houses being constructed, do we have at the moment the lowest vacancy rates, ever in Australia's history, the worst actual completions in supply of residential real estate? What's going on? What's going on, folks? Tell me. What happened here? Anyone want to tell me in the chat right now, or a quick conversation here? Why did this spike? Why did we sort of break out of the kind of the normal level of kind of, tracking along for houses between sort of 40,000 and let's say 70,000 being constructed? And why did we break out? Why did we sort of go through this? And you can see these other spikes. There's some examples in these other spikes as well. But these spikes usually are accelerated by who? What happened? Does anyone know? Anyone remember what went on in that spike there? Chuck that in the chat for me if you know. But what happened is the government gave away free money, free dollars. Yep. APRA tanked construction a while ago. That is for sure, Luke. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But why? What happened here? Well, the government gave away free money for some people, first home buyers, and sort of, principal place of residence upgraders and all sorts of stuff. You could get up to $60,000, $60K free, like literally in actual cash and incentives from the government to buy a house. So what happened is a lot of first home buyers, a lot of owner occupiers or wannabe owner occupiers. Yeah, basically, Alison's right. Her friend basically got a free house. Folks, I help so many people get into a free house or close enough to it. Let's face it. But what there is always an opposite to when something happens on one side, which is not normal, which is not natural in the scheme of the economic, the supply chain. So what happened? We get a record number of houses, and tell me right now, what went down? What happened, folks? Basically, we've been able to, at maximum, at best, ever in Australia's history, or well, recent history, build maybe 70,000 houses. So what happens when we go from down here? We were sort of probably settling into 55,000 houses. What happens when we double in 1 year? What happens when we double in 1 year the requirement to go from 50,000 houses to 100,000 houses in 1 year? Tell me what happens, folks. In the middle of, for crying out loud, in the middle of a pandemic and a supply chain issue. But tell me what happened. Tell me what happened. And this is where, boom. Yep. It was aimed at owner occupiers exactly, Luke. Which is, and it didn't add any true supply to the property market because owner occupiers just move into their houses. No rental supply for booming populations. And what happened? Well, we couldn't build them, folks. This is what's happening. Where's this thing here? Check it out. The actual completions, even though we had record number of expected completions, we tanked hard. Look at this. Our worst effort for approvals to completions literally for a long time. We had one back here, which was a bit low as well, but up to 10% no completions. And this, folks, is a downward trend right now, a downward trend. Now, the challenge is for many of us, we say, well, what does that mean to me as an investor? Well, I think, I think you guys know the drill when it comes to these pressures will show up in a positive way if you own real estate. They'll show up in a negative way if you don't own real estate because it's going to be harder to get into the future, et cetera, et cetera. So, for me, I'd be saying, crack on, team, crack on right now because the market's having a breather, but supply is worse than ever, all right? Now, the thing is, this is check out from 2000, the completions, actual completions have been quite steady. If you have a look at that for houses, right? So, 30,000 a year or whatever it is. What's the difference? What's the gap between approvals and completions, right? Well, that's an interesting one, all right? That's great, Alison. Well, the gap between approvals and completions is certainly one that we need to understand. We'll talk about that in a second. But let's check this out. So since 2000, on average, we've been able to deliver about 30,000 houses. We haven't been able to increase that delivery mechanism in Australia from a housing point of view for all sorts of reasons. The cost of spreading infrastructure, the number of people in construction in Australia, all sorts of stuff, right? But what's happened? Have a look at since 2000. This is it. It says 2000, and we're in 2023 today, folks. What's the thing missing here that from 2000 to today that not many people are talking about? We can still deliver about 30,000 completed houses a year, but what has happened in that 23 years that by and large, is this number as a proportion has actually gone down. Anyone know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to ask a question without giving you the answer. Anyway, hey, Jeff, there he is out in the water truck. Boom, rising population. Luke, all over it. So let's have a look at this. Since 2020, let's call it there, right? We might have had, close to 19 million people. We've now added 6 million people. Folks, we've added 6 million people, and even if we call it 5 million people, so our population has increased 25%. Is that right? 25? Anyway, maybe not 25%, 10%. Anyway, you know the math. It's a lot of people, and it's only going to get more right now, folks, as we go. So we could still only deliver 30,000 houses. Is anyone getting what I'm laying down here? Who's seeing this, folks? Right? We've got our ability to produce houses or thereabout, even when we've got record interest in getting a house, but our population's going up and we still can't deliver it, right? I can tell you right now, we've got some challenges on the radar for all of us. And if you're on the wrong side of this ledger, folks, it's going to be a real issue, right? So what is going on right now? Let's go back here. Actually, I'm just going to quickly show you this one. Right. And, let's have a look at the world of apartments. Let's, totally. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, and, check this out. The only solution, and folks, the future is medium to high density living for cities, right? For all sorts of reasons, environmental, health, cost, infrastructure. Australia is one of the largest landmass continents in the world, countries with the smallest population. Folks, we can't afford as a country to spread endlessly into the wilderness, and we don't want to anyway. You don't want to sort of chop all the trees down and ruin the environment. So the country has to densify. It densifies in the cities. That's the future. Whether you want to live in an apartment or not, the majority of people in the next 40 years will be living in the cities in Australia, mostly in the east of Australia, and they're going to live in apartments. All right. So that's where the future growth is. Okay. But the challenge is, the problem is, check out this forecast. Absolute train wreck. Folks, train wreck of completions. We had some record high completions over here, which were still coming from low supply in previous years after the GFC. The GFC really lacks the supply as well. So we had to catch up, and we only caught up in a couple of cities as we go. Looks like we've got a little bit of an internet issue, so hopefully let me know if it's still going okay, folks. And our forecast, and right now we've got a train wreck. Along comes APRA in their wisdom in sort of 2020, late 2017 and 2018, and poleaxed the supply chain with their bank investigations, getting rid of buyers out of the country, all sorts of stuff. Now, I'm not debating today one way or another whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but you know what's happened is meddling with the supply of money, meddling with the supply of real estate in Australia is causing absolute nightmares for developers, builders, renters, and it's not going to abate. Right? We have got a disaster on our hands, folks. A disaster. The completions are going to be, that's a technical term. Poo. They're going to be rubbish. And if you are an owner of real estate, what is happening? Last time, CPI and rents, well, we've got inflation. check out what happened. Rents got up to 10% growth last time we had high inflation. Somewhere in mid sort of 2020 and 2021, rents were a little bit stagnant. But what's happened right now? Rents going through the roof. Check this out, right? Check this out. You have a look at the last three years of rents, houses, apartments. That's for the whole nation. It's pretty good when it comes to rental growth, and that's going to continue, team. That's going to continue, folks. That's where we're going. What happens? How do we go from I'll do that. How do we go from a record level of houses being constructed? How do we go from a record level of houses being constructed to the worst completions we've seen in the last 20 years? And it's not going to get any better, folks. It is not going to get any better. So, what's the point of my rambling conversation today? My point of the rambling conversation, folks, is once this malarkey of the interest rate concerns is in the rear vision mirror, and by the end of this year, that will be the case. All right, mark my words. It will be in the rear vision mirror. All right, interest rates will start to go down. Inflation will start to go down, and we will find ourselves in the lowest vacancy rates Australia has ever seen, the highest population Australia has ever had, the worst supply and completion of residential real estate we have ever seen in history. And when people realize the world has not ended in that sense, and the price of real estate at the moment has gone back about 5% based on Andrew Wilson, someone we trust, in 3 to 5 years' time, we'll be looking back going, I wish I would have bought then, when everyone was sitting on their hands, worried about interest rates, which are not going to last. Mark my words. This is on record. I'm recording this right now. Here's the drill. You're going to look back in 3 years' time and go, I wish I would have bought back then because it was $100,000 cheaper then. It's not going to get cheaper. It's not going to get easier for us because the supply is non-existent. Folks, there's my call. Anyway, get off your hands. If you can buy a property, get on with it. That's what I'm telling you right now. There's my instructions. So, got a question. So, apartments better than, say, a duplex or a townhouse? I like all of them. The question is, the question has to be asked in conjunction with other questions, whoever was asking that question. And it depends on what you're trying to achieve. I like apartments for their ability to have a better location next to infrastructure that I want to be next to for the right price. And apartments can have some very flexible income capacity, short-term letting, furnished, etc. Townhouses and duplexes, you end up sort of in this middle ring with some land content, which I like, and they're kind of like this in the suburbs, in a nice neighborhood with some land content, but not too far away. And then you go further away, for houses, etc. So good question. It does depend on, what type of properties you've already got in your portfolio, where you own them already, diversification, mix, all that sort of stuff. So it's a good question, but I can't answer it specifically other than to say they are all good for the right reasons. Anyway, that's kind of like a politician's answer, isn't it? But if I knew your personal circumstance, I could give you some guidance. Anyway, folks, that's it. Done and dusted. Wealth Coffee Chat over and out. Thanks for joining me today. Listen, I'm telling you, there is not the only indicators for people who are looking past this year right? So anyone who's looking to the middle of the year is all like, oh, the interest rates, oh, the mortgage cliff, oh, the fixed interest rates, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's not hard for people to pay their mortgages, folks, right? Yeah, well, there you go, Chris. I'm telling you, it's already happened, folks. This is what I'm telling you. The future is already underway, right? We already know that the interest rates are going to peak and then they're going to go down. We already know inflation's going to peak and then it's going to go down. What's going to be left behind? What's going to be left behind? That's the question you need to understand, right? Because what's going to be left behind is a disaster of epic proportions when it comes to supply. And are you in position to take advantage of that as a property investor? Big question mark. Anyway, there you go. I'm a bit ranty this morning, but there you go. I'm done. I'm done, folks. I'm done. Wealth Coffee Chat. Stop talking, Jason. You're over time. Anyway, great to have you here today, folks. Thanks for joining me. Join me tomorrow for another Wealth Coffee Chat. As always, you guys know the drill. When it's on, it's at 10 past 8. And that's it. I'm done. All right, I'm going. See ya. Bye.